this assignment, I decided to go and dive into codependency and like where it comes from, its the issues with it, and um, any signs and symptoms, and other categories of it. Um, Obviously, my name is Trenton. Throughout the semester and throughout the time of studying psychology and other areas of mental health and disorders, this is one that's caught my eye, often because of where or what it signifies and the type of families that people usually come from that have a disorder like this. And it's always been fascinating to me because I come from a family of similar sorts. So what is codependency? Codependency can be creating a false self or becoming an extreme caregiver to a loved one. Another way of saying this is that it's an extreme focus outside of the self. For many people, they begin to have feelings and make decisions or judgments that are based off the other person in their relationship. To me, seeing this and through the research that I've studied, it seems a lot of the time that people who struggle with codependency have come from, it often describes it as wives or daughters, I believe, that have come from a family or someone who's married to an alcohol abuser or a substance abuser. And often that is where it stems from, and that is because, and I think the reason for a big part of this is with codependency creating a false self and the extreme focus outside of themselves is because they've spent so much time focusing on their loved one that they're trying to care for, or they come from a family that they've done so. And I'll talk about this more in the other slides. So, origins of codependency was originally found to be related to substance abuse. Though many researchers haven't found that there's strong claims to this, they argue the key areas of where codependency comes from, as it's related to substance abuse. It's not something that's in the DSM-5, and so it's kind of hard to obviously teach in psychology, but many researchers have said it is a personality disorder because of how people are psychologically changed and affected by it, or by such being, if you can be defined and under a codependent person. So, affects codependency, it wears on people's mental health, because going back to that person, that wife or child taking care of a parent or something like that. Often people with have the low self-esteem or the self-worth, they'll have toxic shame, not just your normal shame, but toxic shame, and which can be a side effect of this. Codependent people's time is focused on others, as it talked about. And I think because that they're able to, or they start to develop these mental health issues because they don't focus on self-care, and that's a huge issue with the emotional health behind it. And in future relationships, also for codependent people, they'll choose a spouse that is unhealthy and possibly a substance abuser. So that is always hard. And as you see in this, causes of codependency, lack of secure attachment, and rigid family systems. Overall causes of codependency, it seems the research often points to dysfunction and abuse in families. That could just be maladaptivity with children and families, which makes sense that it can be related to alcohol abuse, because often fathers or mothers who are substance abuse users have these traits of dysfunctional families and abuse in families. Whether that's physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, all these things can lead to codependency, and they don't always happen for any child, but it can happen. And I don't think it can be related to any type of genetic factor, but just more so family nurture. And often children who have needy parents who ask the child for, basically, the child has to grow up faster, the child is taking care of the parent at times, or taking care of the parent's emotional needs, and this can cause them to be codependent. The codependency treatments, it seems that most of the time for the signs and symptoms that they can relate to other personality disorders, but it seems that therapy, talk therapy, is what is talked about the most for helping people to either recover or get back to a more normal life, or can be cognitive behavioral therapy. I think a lot of it is just trying to help a person with this to see that they need to take care of themselves, they need to have that self-care, they need to have independence, and just a healthier mindset. And that is codependency for the most part.